So welcome everyone to this ROV chat. And today Stephen and I are going to talk about what does awakening your infinite potential really mean? So when you hear that phrase, it could sound like maybe some new age platitude or it could sound inspiring, but kind of nebulous. And does that really have any meaning? And you may look at yourself and see this solid body and think, well, what does infinite potential mean? I'm here, I have this body, I'm 5'10", I weigh this much, I've been through these experiences. What does infinite potential have to do with this? So in subtle energy meditation, we turn inward, we focus inside, and we start to get to know what this is here on an experiential, felt level from the inside. And as we do that, as we start to sense our body and our breathing, start to sense the life energy that's flowing through us, and start to feel the life energy between us and around us, we start to feel this really strong connection to life. And as we connect with life and look in with new eyes at what life is doing, we see this infinite diversity of different expressions and forms. We can definitely see, if we're paying attention, that life itself definitely has an infinite potential. And there's just no end to what life is creating here, all the different forms and expressions. Diversity is definitely the rule of life and creation. And as we feel that we are a part of that, we are part of that flow, that creative flow of life, and we tune into what is life doing here? What is this expression of life? We also see, as we start to follow the inspirations of life, the movement of life through us, that there's no end to the unfolding of what life is doing here either. As we follow these inspirations, we find we're doing and being all different ways and creating all different new experiences just by following what life is doing. And so life becomes this infinite unfoldment of this potential that is just flowing through us, as life flowing through us. So in that sense, we are just part of this infinite creative flow, and this potential has no end. But that's normally not how most of us are thinking about ourselves or about life. We tend to be identified with this physical matter of the body, or with our thinking process, or with the stories about our life history. So Stephen, talk a little bit more about this sense of identity that we have.
Yeah, Kevin, thank you. So I always, when I consider the infinite nature and the infinite potential of being, I'm always drawn to the fact that the majority of our lives are spent identifying with things. So we're very object-based. I'm often asked, how do we deal with all these houses, people, cats, dogs, things, objects, possessions, and all the ways that the mind, grabs onto that. It grabs onto our body. Is our body healthy? What's going to happen? What happens when we get sick? Our thoughts. We're such strength around the construction of our thoughts, and our ideas are so important, and our opinions matter, and then our
mind.
the whole mind, exactly. The whole mind's like just grabbing in every opportunity. So when we look deeply at that, now, I mean, you can try this as we're doing this together, and this kind of sense of inquiry is, as Kevin said, life itself. If life itself is our model, then we'd look at life and say, well, the moment that we consider life all around us, the spaciousness of life, it's very loose and relaxed, right? So at first we'd probably consider that whatever we did we do it in a very loose and relaxed way. We try not to tighten. The moment we tighten, we kind of start to put bands and boxes around our ideas and constructs. So that'd be the first thing. We'd get comfortable, just like you're doing now. Don't look at me, because that's going to objectify me and kind of put some identity there. So look over your screen, and we'd adopt some degree of comfortable sitting in a very loose and relaxed way. So we'd try to let go a little bit of all the things that we've held on to, just as Kevin said, the mind, our thoughts, the sensations, our perceptions. So the first part of what we'd attend to in terms of life and life unfolding would be this looseness and settling in. Like, there is definitely, life itself is always at home, right? There's never a time that life is kind of saying, well, I'm not at home here, I'm not flowing. Life is continually unfolding, easefully creating. So we'd sit and we'd find a loose and relaxed and comfortable posture. And life also has a flow, right? A current, just like the breath. So we'd look for a calm, simple, easeful, effortless flow in the breath itself. So you take a few calm, easeful breaths, and then you'd let go. You probably wouldn't, life itself is not worried about meditation practices. It's not worried about the way it breathes or the way it flows. It would simply just settle to begin with. It'd let everything go, and it'd settle and rest. It'd drop all effort, because there's really no efforting in this flow of life. In fact, the efforting that we do is all connected with identity and boxes and constructs and thoughts and pasts and futures and history. So we'd just simply let go. We'd trust ourselves. We'd trust life. And I mean, that's what Kevin's talking about, is this whole connection with life itself flowing. So we'd trust that if we gave our mind and body some space, that they just naturally settle. So you might find yourself, as you're listening, not looking at me on the screen, maybe closing your eyes for a bit, that you're just naturally settling. You're giving your mind and body some space. And there's actually nowhere to go, right? Life itself is not going anywhere. It's not trying to have an experience of life. It's literally opening and allowing. And there's no identity that experiences life. That identity is actually perceiving life through a filter. But what would happen if you drop that identity? So when you start to experiment like that and stop identifying with thoughts and feelings and perceptions, then you just simply drop all effort. You simply relax, you give yourself permission to let go, and you trust your mind and heart to bring you into this flow of life, just as Kevin's suggesting. So there's no expectations, you just ease into it. You've got this really simple flow that happens in the breath. And when that lovely long inhale and long exhale happen in the breathing, then it's going to naturally also happen in the body, and it's going to naturally happen in the mind, and naturally happen in the awareness. So you simply allow all the qualities that you thought were missing, you actually realize that they're perfectly present, because life itself is always flowing, this infinite potential. And you turn inwards, right, to try to find that identity, and there's nothing there, right? There's just, it's a complete illusion. It's something you created. And when you turn inwards like that for just a moment, like you're doing now, and you try to find the identity and you can't, for that very split second that it's ungraspable, and you kind of go, oh, there's nothing there, that very split second is when the identity drops away. It's that ungraspable quality that is infinite. It's that unknowableness, that sense when you get that aha. It's like the sense of being under a night sky and looking up at the stars and gasping in awe because it's so vast. Well, that is the presence of the unbound and infinite potential. That's you. That is your awareness that's flowing through everything. So you don't actually have to do anything to make that happen. It's literally a flow. You're resting in the flow of life. You're resting in the current of experience. And there's no rights or wrongs. You're just simply being with it. So it's really an amazing opportunity when you consider it, to be here, present with this infinite potential, just as Kevin was suggesting. When you actually really allow what is present to be, you realize that that presence is infinite, right? The gap is vast. It doesn't have any edges or boundaries. It's a state that's in incredible harmony with mind and heart, right? Because they're no longer separate from it. There's no longer a past or a future. There's no longer a history. You've left all of that aside, and you've come to a natural place, an effortless place we call life, a life, the life that flows through you, the love that flows through you, that's naturally peaceful and graceful and effortless and tranquil and silent. And you don't need to use your mind. You're just simply so relaxed into this vast, spacious awareness that that's all that's present, and it's infinite, right? There's no bounds to awareness. You can't, if you keep unfolding out, you'll keep recognizing that it is this limitless space. It doesn't matter where you go in space, it's still space. If you turn inwards, it's still space. If you look at outwards, it's still space. If you drop into non-dual awareness, it's still space. So you're returning back to that natural place of effortless and boundlessness, and simultaneously. There's no inside, no outside. Exactly as Kevin said. It just simply is this bound, infinite, unbound, limitless potential of life itself that you are. So,
Beautiful.
Kevin,
Experience.
Kevin, I just think everything that's unfolding for us, for everybody that's listening, has this incredible quality of beauty to it. It just seems so, and it seems so very simple and effortless, right? The moment that we stop this rapid pace that's full of we've got to achieve, we've got to do, instead of simply allowing and being.
And I think it is so simple and so close, so immediate, so present that we can miss it when we're looking elsewhere. We're looking out there, we're looking into our minds, we're continually looking for the experience out there, and then we miss this presence, this awareness, this vitality that is right here, right now, that is in an unending unfoldment. And that's where the juice of life is, and that's where the infinite potential is a reality. It's a felt experience. It's a whole different place to live from.
Beautifully said, Kevin. Beautifully said. Yeah, thank you too, Kevin. Thank you, everybody, for listening and for sharing the infinite potential of what's present.
Yes, you are that. We are that.